Hey, what's going on, y'all? Yeah, back with another one. Communitarianism in the building. Let's see here. Yeah, communitarianism in the building. Let's see. Let me get set up. Let me get set up. Oh shit. Hit the wrong fucking thing. God damn it. Ah, so raggedy. Yeah, man. Yeah, let me stick to that. Ugh. Damn. This raggedy ass shit. Let me see. Yeah, I got my handheld today. I didn't get my other stuff set up. Let me see. Let me see right quick. Let me get set up because I know people are going to come through and look. Not begging no things like that. Okay, let's see. Educational. Boom, 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 boom. Thanks for ruling beyond. Let's see. Yeah, this is going into that, and we're gonna cover that. Okay, communitarianism. I know people are not coming through right now. Uh, yeah. See. Yeah. I know people. What's going on, Tom Malone? I know people's open to the drama. Okay, we're gonna talk about communitarianism, and that philosophy is the 20th century. Okay, we're gonna get into it real quick. Oh shit. Community. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, we got it. We got it. We got it. We got it. We're just gonna look up some things. We're just gonna read the philosophy aspect of it. We're gonna get into it real quick. Let me go upside down for a minute. So we're gonna have the extended files, all that. So okay, we're gonna be on right quick. Okay, let's shall we? Introduction, like I promised. Communitarianism is a 20th century political doctrine with emphasized the interests of communities, societies over those of the individual. While not necessarily hostile to liberalism or social democracy per se, it does oppose individualist doctrines like libertarianism, which stresses human independence and independence of the individual, self reliance, and liberty. Most aspects of modern conservatism advocate instead ideas such as civil society, the concept of voluntary civic and social organizations and institutions, opposed to force-backed structures of a state and commercial institutions, like collectivism, which stresses human interdependence and the importance of the collective. Communitarianism focuses on the community and society and seeks to give priority to group goals over individuals. However, for the most part, communitarians emphasize the use of non governmental organizations in furthering their goals, so differ from the authoritarian or communist sympathizers. Its exact premise and policies consequence are difficult to pin down. The most criticism of communitarianism has come from individualist thinkers concerned that it just provides cover for collectivists. Although the 20th century philosophy term communitarian was coined in the 1840s by the British utopian socialist Goodwin Barmby. I think his name Goodwin Barmby, 1820, 1881, to refer to advocates of the communalist society, which refers to commanding living and or a communal property, and essentially a forerunner to modern communism. Okay. Types of communitarianism. The term is primarily used in two scenes. Philosophical communitarianism is primarily concerned with the metaphysical and epistemological, yeah, epistemological issues as distinct from policy issues. It is specifically opposed classical liberalism, which construes communities as originating from the voluntary acts of pre-community or autonomistic individuals, and emphasizes the role of the community in defending and shaping individuals. It believes that the value of community is not sufficient recognized in liberal theories of justice. Communitarians claim values and beliefs exist in public spaces, but in which debate takes place. Thus, if an individual rejects in a majority belief, e.g., the historical belief that slavery is acceptable, he or she will do for some reason that will make a sense within the community rather than simply an any old reason. This is philosophical communitarianism I'm reading above here, and there's another one. Ideological communitarianism can be seen as a radical centrist ideology, a third wave philosophy which includes that the belief that in affirming the core principles involved on both sides of the political argument. The disagreement can be resolved or rendered moot. It's sometimes marked by leftism on economic issues and conservatism on social issues. Communitarianism seeks to bolster social capital, the value to democracy of social networks and groups. In the institution of the civil society, it affirms positive rights such as state subsidized education, state subsidized housing, a safe and clean environment, universal health care, and extensive public works programs, and often even the right to a job and laws limiting pollution and gun ownership, etc. Okay, this is communitarianism on a small scale of the philosophy. It's a 20th century belief, and it is what it is, and that's what it basically is. So when we talk about these things, that's one of the things I'm just trying to say, like in so many words. Like, this is an interesting topic to talk about because I haven't covered this as many thing. What's going on? So what you have here, it is what it is. And what's going on, Enhance? Let's see. We're gonna kind of, let me go out here for a minute, and we're gonna stop the screen share for a minute. So we're going to share another screen. I'm gonna get into it real quick, and we're gonna go right to it. And that's just what it is. Okay, we're gonna go and do the research on this, like I promised. Yeah, theory system, social organized, based on small self-governing communities. That's communitarianism. Communitarianism. On here, the pronunciation, if I say it right.
Communitarianism.
Yep, I said it right. Communitarianism. That's right. That's right. Okay. It's a philosophy emphasized the connection between the individual and the community. Communitarianism usually opposes extreme individualism and disagrees with the extreme laissez-faire policies that neglect the stability overall community. That's what communitarianism is about. Okay. He said the difference. He's trying to say there's a difference in utilitarianism. Here we go. There we go. Is that utilitarianism is a philosophy, a system of ethics based on the premise of something's value may be measured. It is usefulness, while communitarianism is ethics, the group doctrines that oppose excessive individualism in favor of more community-based approach. Let's read this link right here. We're gonna get some answers, and I'll put this in the chat if y'all willing. This might be good. Trying to see the key difference here. Okay. We're just reading it off. We just reading it all. So, mm, mm, mm. Okay, let's look at the difference between the two. Okay, so we got one on the left side of me is utilitarianism, of course. We already know it means the happiness of the greatest pleasure. And then we also got communitarianism, deals with the group of extreme opposed against extreme individualism. Okay, here's the now a system ethics based on the premise of something's value may be measured by its usefulness or happiness. That's what it says. This is the theory action to be directed towards achieving the greatest happiness for the greatest number of people. Hedonistic universalism. That's hedonistic as it is. It is utilitarianism, of course. And the coordinate terms deontology. See, I talk about this every now and then. I got streams on that, heavy about that. Only reason I did that, it was against the Grand Master himself from the Igmore clan, BGS. He did a Black Pill series and he brought this term up with the last one with the Owlman and Batman. Talking about nihilism and utilitarianism talks. That's the whole premise of last year why I did this. Now, this right here, communitarianism, of course, we're talking about today. And here's the difference in the nouns. The group doctrine opposes excessive individualism in favor of the core community based approach. In 2009, on February 9th, briefing the network ideas of, yeah. So, not much here. There's a little difference. Opposes group, the core ideas approach, core values, community approach, PubMed, and all that stuff. We talk about libertarianism a lot. What is African communitarianism? Has been generally described communal and people who base their worldwide view and thinking, but the philosophy came to defend as communitarian. Hence, the communitarian concept of person is considered as a standard view by many African thinkers. We'll see their little defense in philosophy, if that's true or not. I mean, this is kind of, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is because I know people ain't gonna come through tonight because this may not be a long one because I think X is gonna have some type of intervention with this. So yeah, this may be 2 hours. I may give it 2 hours. I may find some more info. In the struggle to rediscover the identity based on colonialism, Africans have sought to find philosophies which is characterize their unique identity beyond the anthropological horizon in the Eurocentric perspectives of humanity and imposed upon them by the colonizers who defend the personhood of an African. In this process, African philosophers have discovered in that there are the core African philosophy in communitarianism philosophy. Thus, the personhood of the African constituted by the communal reality, which is influenced by communalism and communitarianism, and the making and the distinction between the two forms of communitarianism, the radical communitarianism and the moderate communitarianism. This article makes a case for moderate communitarians as inter, intradisciplinary or indirect disciplinary implications. Modern communitarianism, I will say, engenders an understanding which takes the individual of a personal seriously and locating that the individual within the community, which influences his or her identity, thus involving an integration of individual thought and communal tradition, thereby recognizing that the dialect of the both individual thought and the communal tradition, individual and thought confirmed by insights that were a production of individual integrity and communal thought, is known to be the concepts. Yeah, production individual. Okay, and the concepts that are derived from traditional knowledge and the moderation of both accounts for a balanced form of communitarianism through the dialect of both individual and community, which contributes to the formation of an African identity. Moderate communitarianism reflects the accurate thought of African philosophy and accounts for a common feature within the diversity in different African communities. Therefore, moderate communitarianism is an essential contributor to the formation of an African identity. That's the abstract. And then here's the introduction, of course. And he tries to say axiomatic and things like that. So, damn, it's a long read. So, basically, it's like a long article. So, I ain't going to read that because I can't even see that shit. They should make that shit bigger. I'm not doing that shit. They on some bullshit when they on this. So, yeah, we can't have shit like that. Y'all got to do better. Authors, communication, approach, mutual. We got to stop with this shit. Where's the next word? Is Charles Taylor. Is a philosophy. Charles Taylor, is he communitarian? Okay. He died. Is he? No, he ain't dead. He's alive. Okay. He's a Canadian philosopher. Okay. Charles Taylor is associated with communitarian critique of liberal theory, understanding self-communitarians emphasize the importance of social institutions and development of individual meaning and identity. In 1991, Massey lectured the Massey Modernly. The Taylor argued that the political theories from John Locke, Thomas Hubbers, and John Rawls and Ronald Dworkin have neglected the which is individuals are within the context supplied by societies. A more realistic understanding of self-recognizing the social background against which is the choice gain importance of meaning. Yeah, see, yeah, he's a communitarian. Okay. He went to McGill University. He was born in Montreal, Quebec. That's the province. Quebec is the French nation. Montreal is the city. That's what you look at. He's a political philosophy. Yeah, yeah. I've heard of Charles Taylor. He's a Canadian. He's well respected in this right. Like I've heard this term before, but it's been a while since I've talked about it. Yeah, communitarianism is one of those societies and things like that. So yeah, personhood and things like that. Some examples. Okay, people may ask. Let's look at articles from 2020. I'm going to talk about it and its main theorists, things like that. So, as you can tell, and that's just how it is. And that's what it is. So, we'll get into what is communitarianism definition and main theorists. So, we're going to look at this real quick. Communitarianism is a 20th century political, social ideology, emphasizing the interests of the community over thus of the individual. Communitarianism is often considered the opposite of liberalism, the theory that places the interests of the individual above those of the community. In this context, communitarian beliefs may have been most clearly expressed in the 1982 movie Star Trek II, the Wrath of Khan, when Captain Spock tells Admiral James T. Kirk that logic clearly dictates the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Key takeaways. Communitarianism is a social political ideology that values the needs of common good of society over the needs and rights of individuals. In the second point, in placing the interests of society over those of the individual citizens, communitarianism is considered the opposite of liberalism, and its proponents, called communitarians, object to the extreme individualism and unchecked laissez-faire capitalism. There you go. That's one of the key takeaways. And the third takeaway, the concept of the communitarianism was developed throughout the 20th century by political philosophers, social activists such as Ferdinand Tones, what's his name, Atamati Essizoni, and Dorothy Day. So Dorothy Day, that's the key takeaways. These three right here, Ferdinand Amati and Dorothy Day, is one of these key philosophers right here. They believe in group and collective. Historical origins. The ideals of communitarianism can be traced the early religion doctrine as far back as monosectism in the 270 CE or AD, they will say, well, we call it CE, as well as the Old and New Testament of the Bible. For example, the book of Acts and the Apostle Paul wrote, all the believers were in heart and mind. No one claimed that any of their possessions was their own, but they shared everything they had. During the mid 19th century, the concept of communal rather than individual ownership, control of property, and natural resource formed the basis of classical social doctrine, as expressed by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in their Communist Manifesto of 1848. In the volume 2, for example, Marx proclaimed that truly socialist, the conditions for the free development of each is the free development of all. The specific term of communitarianism was coined in the 1980s by social philosophers and comparing to contemporary liberalism, which advocated using the powers of the government to protect individual rights, with classic liberalism, which called for protecting individual rights by limiting the powers of government. In contemporary policies, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair applied the communitarian beliefs through his advocacy of the stakeholder society to which business and should be responsive to the needs of the workers to the consumer communities they serve. Similarly to the compassion conservatism initiative of former United States President George W. Bush, stressed the use of conservative policies as the key to improve the general welfare of American society. Okay, right here. This is a good one for y'all. So we're going to look at that society and, basically what you have. But the basic theory of communitarianism, I'm going to put this right here. I kind of like this shit right here. Hold on. Communitarianism. Yeah, I'm going to save that. Do a part 2. We're going to talk about this. Fundamentals of the doctrine. The base of the theory of communitarianism is revealed largely through its supporters of scholarly criticism of liberalism, and then expressed by American political philosopher Jobs Rawls in the 1971 work as a theory of justice. In this seminal liberal, seminal liberal essay, Rawls' context that the justice of the context of any community is based exclusively on the inviolable natural rights of each individual, stating that each person's uh, possesses an individual natural rights of the each individual, stating that each other possesses the inviolability to found on justice, and then even the welfare of society as a whole cannot override. In other words, according to Rawlsian theory, a truly justice society cannot exist when the well-being of the community comes the cost of individualist rights. So we have a chart here, and it focuses on the economic focus on community, cultural focus on community. Communitarianism is right here, individuals right here, rightism and leftism. Here you go. That's an interesting paradigm. So, you know what I'm saying? Like we can see that it's here. So anytime we post this, we're gonna post this on that. So yeah, we're gonna post this. So we're gonna have, oh shit, I was gonna say this shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. We can't do that. Okay. Okay. Maybe another time. We'll go back to it. And that's how it is. We're gonna read the next contest. But as what I'm saying in so many words, so I know people are coming through. Yeah, I ain't starting to do. He's on some bullshit. Let's go on, wacky. Shalom, shalom, man. Shalom. Yeah. Let's greetings, College Jane. Greetings. All hail, Grace Skull. Yes. Yeah, they are slept on. Damn straight. In the contrast of Rawlsian liberalism, communitarianism emphasize each individualist's responsibility in serving the common good of community and the social importance of the family unit. Communitarians believe that the community relationships contributions to the common good more so the individual rights determine each person's social identity and sense of place within the community. In essence, in the communitarians to oppose extreme forms of individualism and unregulated capitalistic laissez-faire buyer beware policies that may not contribute to or may even threaten the common good of the community. What is a community? Whether in a single family or entirely country, that the philosophy of the communitarianism views the community as a group of the people living in a single location or different locations who share interests and traditions and more values developed through a common history. For example, members of the family foreign diasporas such as the Jewish people, who also scattered throughout the world, continue to share a strong sense of community. In his 2006 book, The Audacity of Hope, then U.S. Senator Barack Obama expressed the communitarian ideals which he repeated during his success of the 2008 presidential election campaign, repeatedly calling for an age of responsibility in which individuals favor community wide unity over partisan policies. Obama urged Americans to ground our politics in the notion of a common good. We know that's a bunch of bullshit. He had other plans, so we ain't gonna get into that. Prominent communitarian theorists. While the term communitarian was coined in 1841, the actual philosophy of communitarianism coincide during the 20th century through the works of the political philosophers such as Ferdinand Torres and Amati Azoni and Dorothy Day. German sociologist and an economist, Ferdinand Tomanes or something like that, July 26, 1855, and April 9th, 1936. Wow. So he died in he was born, he's a Leo, but he died in an Aries month. Wow. Fire somebody. Wow. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Pioneered the communitarianism with the some seminal 1887 essay, The German Shaft and Shaft, the German of community and society. Okay, so it's German of the community and society. Comparing the lives and the motivations of individuals and the living of is oppressive, but nurturing the communities with those living in the impersonal but liberating societies. Considering the fathers of German sociology, Tony's co-founder of the German Society and Sociology in 1909, served as the president until 1934, when he was ousted for criticizing the Nazi Party, which is true. So he's been around a long time, communitarianism. Yeah, he was ousted. Okay. Antamati Essazzoni. Yeah, he's a German. Okay. German-born Israeli-American sociologist. Okay. He's a Jewish guy. Okay, born January 4th, 1929, is best known for his work to impacts of communitarianism or social economics. Considered the founder of the responsive communitarian movement in the early 1990s. But he founded the Communitarian Network to help spread the movement's message. In his more than 30 books, including The Active Society and the Spirit of Community, Essazzoni stresses the importance of balancing individual rights with responsibilities to the community. Yeah. Ooh, I see what type of microphone he was using. Got an XLR port in it. Okay, Dorothy Day. Let's talk about Dorothy Day. She was born 1897 but died in 1980. Wow. She lived a long time. God damn. Damn, she's old. So she lived a long time. So she died in 1980. So she lived another century. She was in her 100s. Shit. That's a long time. And that's a long time. I know people are looking at that because normally I got the other like that. So yeah, I'm using a different mic tonight. So we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about this thing because I ain't got that much time. Because I'll switch up eventually. So yeah. Dorothy Day, social activist, Christian, anarchist Dorothy Day, contribute to the formulation of the communitarian philosophy through her work with the Catholic worker movement. She also founded, along with Peter Morin in 1933, writing in the groups Catholic Workers. Catholic Workers and newspaper, which she credited over 40 years. Day, to clarify, the movement and brand of the compassionate communitarianism was based on the dogma of the mystical body of Christ. We are working for a communitarian revolution to oppose both rugged individualism of the capitalist era and the collectivism of the communist revolution, she wrote. Neither human existence nor individual liberty can be sustained for long outside the interdependent and overlapping communities to which all of us belong. All of us belong. So yeah, so she was born in the 1890s. Wow, so that makes sense. And then she lived to be 1980. So that's a span. We're gonna calculate how old she died. We're gonna calculate that shit. Let's get a calculation on that. Okay, so we're going to talk about 1897 and subtract 1980. She lived to be 83 years old. So she died 83 years old. So she lived to be 83. So 1979, she was 82. Oh, she was, yeah, she died to be, she died in her early 80s. Okay. Let's go to, let's look at this. So we're going to clear this. We're going to clear that. Let's subtract 1990. If she keeps on living, she lived to be 93. See, if you was born in the 19th centuries of the 1897, 1899, yeah, you'd die somewhere in the 90s. If you was 100 years old in the 90s. See, back then, in 2 centuries she lived in, it's amazing. She was born in the 1890s, and then the 20th century she grew up in. She's seen the world. So you look at that, you be like, well, goddamn, how did she do that? Well, you got to understand something. She lived in a time where things was a little bit different back then. Not that much infrastructure. So showing this picture of her, she was probably younger in this picture. So 1980, that's the height of the world, and especially in America at the time. Yeah, she's an American journalist. Been around a long time. Yeah, it's a long time, man. Different approaches filling in the niches along the American political spectrum, ranging from libertarian capitalism to pure socialism. Two prominent approaches to communitarianism have attempted to define the role of the federal government in the daily lives of the people. Authoritarian communitarianism. Let's read this. Authoritarian communitarianism. Arise in the early 1980s, authoritarian communitarians advocate for giving the need to the benefit of the common good of the community priority over the need to ensure the anatomy and the individual rights of the people. In other words, if we were deemed necessary for the people to see the certain individual rights or freedoms to benefit society as a whole, they would be willing, even anxious to do so. In many ways, the doctrine of authoritarian communitarianism reflected the social practice of East Asian authoritarian societies such as China, Singapore, Malaysia, in which individuals were expected to find their ultimate meaning in life through their contributions to the common good of society. That's authoritarian communitarianism that we just read. And we're going to read. Okay, that's the further reference. We're going to stop there. We're going to read the responsive of communitarianism. Okay, developed in 1990 by Amati Esazoni, responsive communitarianism seeks to strike a more carefully crafted balance between individual rights, social responsibilities to the common good of the society than the authoritarian communitarianism. In this manner, responsive of communitarian stresses that the individual freedoms come with individual responsibilities, all the neither should be neglected to accommodate the other. The modern response of communitarian doctrines holds the individual liberties can be reserved only through the protection of the civil society in which individuals respect and protect their rights as well as the rights of others. In the general response of communitarians stresses the need in individuals and to help and practice the skills of self-government while remaining to serve the common good of the society when needed. That's it for y'all with this. I'm gonna give y'all the link to this so y'all can read. We're gonna put this in the chat. I'm gonna keep on going. Copy this real quick. Put this in the chat. It's been real. What's going on, Art? What's going on, Captain Ghost? What's going on, man? So we're gonna talk about this approach right here. So we're gonna give y'all the link to this shit. He said, let's see. Yeah, we're gonna talk about communitarianism a bit. This is one of those streams you just like, okay, we're gonna be here and we're gonna just expound on it. So, okay. I'm gonna get another tab over here. We're gonna move forward. We're gonna move right along into it. So I'll solve my things here. So communitarianism. It's by thoughtcode.com, I believe. Interesting shit that we see. Yeah. Oh God. Okay. There we go. Oh no. Okay. Let's see. I can. Okay. More tools. Save this page as. Oh, they give me a file. Yeah, I can't save that. Okay. Might have to download it or some other way. I'm gonna get some pictures later. So we're gonna talk about it. So we're gonna expound on it later. Okay. Yeah, I would love to have that damn picture right there. So we're gonna get into it and talk about it. Okay. We're gonna see the disadvantages in communitarians and stuff like that. Let me go here real quick and I'll step back for a minute because I love to add this shit right here. Let's see. That's on the wiki. Oh, that's heavy. I see. Yep. I'll get these later. That's difficult to get. That's difficult to get because I think, when you get these pictures, they be like a whole different um and that's just what it is. So let's talk about it. Oh, they talk about this 2019. We're gonna get into that 2.0 Social Security, and we're gonna talk about that. Healthcare for free college, taxing the ultra millionaires 2020 campaign cycle has already witnessed the important shift of U.S. policies and design. So many of the individual candidates like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Cory Booker, and others espousing the campaign trail today. The ideas are almost in no-brainers were not too long ago perceived campaign trail today. Okay, not long ago perceived as impossible. More than that, they were seen as a front that many believe to be one of the United States' fundamental values, individual liberty. These days, however, the disavowal of the notion that the individual's grit and determination and perseverance are the sole determinants of success, and now central to much of the political sparring ahead in the 2020 presidential election, and particularly this challenge centrally of the personal responsibility has underscore the broader diagnosis that a system should be distributed in power equity. The United States democracy is broken bootstrap myth in order to leave out the of reality of what is the reality? Oh, I missed it. Oh shit. It's about notion and bootstraps are very okay. Radical policies proposal can be of the politicals. Okay. Damn. Marcy's broken bootstraps myth. Yeah. Possibility, light. Yeah. I done read too fast. So bringing about the mutual responsibility framework that addresses the country's most pressing challenges and new policy stresses beyond 2022. Yeah, 2020, I believe. Okay, I'm gonna read the next part. I'm gonna go on mute for a second. Yeah, we're gonna read this next part right here. So yeah, I'm gonna do this real quick. We were never supposed to bow alone. U.S. democracy is a unique in its way that was designed to be produce of the tensions between the Lockean liberalism and focus on the individual liberties. In ancient Greek democracies, based on the concepts of the citizens that has share in both ruling and being ruled. Under this model, the Constitution strove to secure the common good of the society, the happiness of the people, and complex public good that incorporates such society. Yeah, incorporates such elements as due to the sense of the national character, the cultivation of the deliberate. I'll go like this. Okay, deliberate sense of the community, and even extensive in arduous enterprises for their public benefit. Okay. What came to be known as the founders of the establishment of the civic republicanism, but the combination of the individual freedom and civic participation and centered on the common good is precisely what made the experiment in the United States special and promising. Got the handling down. But over time, these individuals weakened or were lost altogether with the Gilded Age of the late 19th century. The idea of the common good gave way to the premise of the self-made economic success. As sociologist Robert N. Bellah, LTL, write, it was also during this time that some of the worst fears of the early Republican moralists seemed to confirm that be releasing the untrammeled pursuit of wealth without regard to the demands of social justice. Industrial capitalism was destroying the fabric of democratic society, threatening the social chaos by pitting the class against class. The emergence of the progressive movement in 1890s, marked by the series of government reforms aimed at addressing the problems caused by industrialization, urbanization, and immigration, and political corruption was direct response to this. But a technocratic managerial state, while allowing for general public participation, also wasn't the answer to the ills of afflicting United States democracy. It was still fairly exclusionary, and it was a marginalized certain groups of people in the process. In the years of that followed, an administration came and went, and what ensured where debates were between, dates were between the administration came and went, okay, whether between language or democracy was the language of duties and language of rights. Subsequently, attempts to curtail negative externalities of liberalism and emphasize on the individual, like Franklin D. Roosevelt, the New Deal, and Lyndon B. Johnson, Great Society, in their own way, failed to get to the root of the cause of the problem, but the premise of the unchecked, unencumbered self. By the 1990s, the movement, backed up by scholars and doing Amati Essazoni, here we go again, a communitarian philosopher, and William Galson, Robert Putnam, and Michael Sandel, proposed a new language, one that acknowledged that the duties and the rights could coexist. This concept of communitarianism, that is a social philosophy that is contrast to the theories that emphasize the centrality of the individual, emphasis that the importance of society is articulating the good, and became the alternative lens through which to see the founder's vision for the United States. Communitarianism combines progressive thinking with the traditional values of community and commitment, and in doing so, it has the potential to catalyze the conversations necessary for the achieving constructive change. Galson wrote, outside the academia, figures like New Jersey Senator Bill Bradley and President George W. Bush advocated for a governance framework to restore the language of community, citizenship, and mutual obligation. Unfortunately, more immediate concerns such as the war on terror and the Great Recession eclipsed the promise of the communitarianism, and more recently, seemingly insurmountable political division have made the idea of common good even more elusive. Nonetheless, the crux of the United States democracy has remained the same. How realize the ideas of the common good is highly individualistic society. So they said the case of the moral governments, I ain't gonna get into that. Y'all can read the New America. It's article.org. So ain't much time. We're just gonna get into the philosophy aspect. So we're just gonna get into it and things like that. What's going on, OG Sony? What's going on, man? What's going on? What's going on? And we're just gonna put this in here and we're just gonna get it, we're getting right into it. And I'm just saying, like, yeah, bro. We're gonna see this right quick. So yeah, so we here right now. So that's how it is. Yeah, we're gonna get into it right quick. I was distracted. My fault. My fault. Mm. Get this out the way. Get this out the way. Ethics, communitarianism, person ethics. Shit. Let's see what this is about. Oh man, this is a hassle to deal with. Okay, what year is this? Okay. It's like a Q&A. I don't want that. It's too progressive. Let's see right quick. Okay, the disadvantages of communitarian. We're gonna get into that in a minute because I'm tired of, dabbling in it. Yeah, we talk about the philosophy, when we talk about the basis, pros and cons to it. We'll get into it. We're gonna talk about that. And this is gonna be another topic. So we're gonna read this off. This is called the writinguniverse.com. Okay. I'll give you this and we're gonna expound on this and we're gonna try some more links. I'll have to do a part 2 on this, so y'all bear with me because this is gonna be a topic that I'm gonna stay in this realm, and then we're gonna stop talking about the philosophies of it, and we're gonna stick to that realm, actual content and things like that. The value of cohesion, equity, is one theory of Sisnick 445. Okay. So the subject is political science, finance. So updated in October. This is last year, 2021. Economics and government and capitalism, equity and liberalism. Okay. And we're talking about communitarianism. The advantages and disadvantages of communitarianism. Okay. We just read the first part. Other cultural practices such as liberalism, capitalism, and enlightenment have resulted in wealth disparities. Disparities between the rich and poor created divisions, which led to social issues like crime, the poor performance of American schools and poor neighborhoods. It's a good example. Regardless of social class, communitarianism advocates for equal access to education, healthcare, and a living wage. Sesnick 452. As a result, is a beneficial because it gives people to the right to the basics, regardless of their social status. Unlike it in a liberal and capitalistic society, it promotes in the preservation of cultural values and morals. It recognizes the importance of the family and that the need for the individual contribution to the community. It fosters a group responsibility in society. Selznick 463. One of the drawbacks of the theory is the likelihood intriguing on individual rights for the sale of a common good. It may increase levels of dependency, where some people will want to take advantage of the existing laws requiring access to the basic rights to avoid working. It may encourage laziness among people who waited to benefit from the principle of equality and the common good. Hence, it may reduce countries' productivity. I would recommend the ideology as a basis of determining whether an act is ethical or not, long as the communitarian decision. It is not made to expense of the individual rights. It is a true that modern culture stemming from enlightenment merits threatens the relevance of communitarianism. At the same time, it can be a complement. Modern culture values are more focused on individualistic approaches. Thus, people are encouraged to use their understanding to do what is best without guidance from the others, which threatens the theory. On the other hand, up-to-date custom practice such as intellectual progress can help improve human society, which is the complement to it. So yeah, this is another one, and it gives you the pros and cons on that. We're going to talk about that extensively. We're going to copy this link, and yeah, we're going to save it, and we're going to put this in the chat as well. I know people are out here, yeah, they don't like me going in, so we already know. We already know what I'm gonna get on this channel, so I don't really care at this point because we are here. Niggas don't want you to read. Well, too bad. Too fucking bad. Nobody wants you to do shit. So we're gonna get into pros and cons for a minute. So yeah, yeah, we're gonna do this real quick in communitarianism. So things like that. So we're gonna get into pros and cons. We're gonna get it to a minute. I'm just gotta do something, but y'all bear with me. Let's see. Let's see. We'll get this thing right here. Yeah. And that's it, so that's what we're gonna do, but we're gonna take this up. What's going on, man? Hell Gray Skull in the building, the advisor himself. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna drop this. I'll drop the link in a few minutes, so just bear with me. We're gonna talk about the pros and cons. This ain't gonna be a long one, because I know people gonna come through and talk. So disadvantages and things like that. So yeah. I think the pros and cons. Pros and cons. We're going to talk about the pros and cons. So there's several links I would put here, and we're going to talk about the Prezi for a minute because I'm using a different microphone. If y'all can tell the difference, I mean it's dynamic still, but work on the interface real soon. But bear with me and things like that. Oh yeah. I can't. That's probably a video. I'll try another one. Hold on. This is probably better. Okay. Damn. It's a lot of words. Okay. Shit. That was like a video based on this as a document. Okay. Show more. Yeah. Trying to get me with the video. Okay. Apparently, they don't want me to get that. Yeah. Give me that. Okay. Let's try this link. Yeah, because it's so many things like that. Affordable economic rest. Oh, what the fuck is this shit? The fuck is this shit? Oh man. So much for that. I'm trying to find the problems with communitarianism policies, introductions. Yeah, see, there's no try to find a link to this, but I don't like these articles, man. They terrible as a motherfucker. See, you try to find some shit and they just, I'm going to the next one. I don't see what y'all talking about. Advantages 71. Yeah, see, a lot of these articles, they're not good to find. Oh man, this is terrible because sometimes you just got to look at these and just look at it and just like, you know. And thing is, yeah, I'm not gonna look at that. I'll deal with that later. Proceed. Okay. Abstract. Yeah, I'm just looking at this stuff right here. Yeah, these words are fucking small, man. Y'all gotta do better than this shit. It's 2012 shit. God damn, y'all suck. Let's see. Ain't that much, y'all, but yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm just gonna go back to number one because it ain't shit. Like that's the one I read is fucking short. Hmm. Itching like a motherfucker. It's hot down here. That's flu weather. This ain't springtime. It's flu weather. It's gonna get cold Friday. Yep. Just gotta get this out the way. Got my wire tangled up. Okay, advantages and advantages communitarianism. Okay, IPL.org. And it's just what it was. Essay by Michael Walters, Philosophy of Communitarianism, Advantages and Disadvantages. Okay. 83 words, 84 pages. Probably ain't a lot. Let's read this real quick. And let's see here. Communitarianism ideology highlights the responsibility of the data individuals who has their community within this ideology. There's two views that may be conflicted with one another. We have the duty to fellow citizens. We have duties to every other human being in need. How is it possible to balance the two? The ideology of solidarity is that the communitarians believe members of communities should adopt the communities, values, and promote to communities' interests. Societies is therefore viewed as cooperative association for mutual benefit. All members contribute and benefit from society. Therefore, we may impose burdens on members that we may not impose on non-members. Consequently, we are also not required to benefit non-members. Show more content. Okay. He states that the mutual aid extends the action political frontiers, therefore, can be only arise in the world without borders. He argues that the assistance should only be given if needed urgently and the cost low to our citizens. The Good Samaritan principle only tells us how to treat strangers, but it does not state who shall allow into our community. He argues that our community tells us that we owe to others. However, the real issue is who we should admit to our community and turn into fellow citizens. In reference, Walzer poses the questions to how many people do we distribute membership into what types of people, 1983 to 34, page 34. And he states that this question is often in regards to the public policy of omitting the excluding of strangers. And the same page, 1983 to 34, Walzer uses the example of neighborhoods, families, clubs, shape his argument to admissions and policies and distinguish to the political community for other communities in the political community for other communities. If the political community was like the neighborhood, these were no restrictions of the entry. That would be the mean people could not build up strong feelings of citizenship, feel many belonging, and the political community is free, restricted entry, but not the exit. Because so they want you to read more and things like that. So it's one of those disadvantages and things like that. Yeah, this is an article that's blending me out. So I gotta find another one. That's certain examples of it. So as hoped it. God damn. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Damn. Anyways, like that's one thing I can say about it. Linkspringer.com, disasters of communitarianism. Yeah. Accept all cookies, get lost. Linkerspringer.com, abstract. Okay. There has been a sustained application of communitarianism ethical theory to the topic disasters. As far as I'm aware, with this, while there's an occasional reference to communitarian ethics in the disaster management discussions, this does not amount to a philosophical treatment of either the contribution of communitarian ethics might make to complex moral problem disasters, nor does it amount nor an examination of its political difficulties and weakness. But the aim of this chapter is to take a step filling this gap in the literature. Okay. There has not been sustainable applications of communitarian ethical theory to the topic of disasters, as far as I'm aware. While there is an occasional reference to communitarian ethics in disaster management discussions, this does not amount to the philosophical treatment of either contributions that the communitarian ethics might make to complex moral problem of disasters, nor does it amount of an examination of its philosophical difficulties and weakness. The aim of the chapter is to take step towards filling this gap in the literature. Disasters challenge ethical theories because they frequently exceeded the grasp of our ordinary ways of moral thinking. Disasters poses ethical de minimis by their scale and their effects. No ethical theory within the possible problematic exceptional of act utilitarianism. See, here's a keyword. Here's a word, utilitarianism. See that? See that? Has a template that nearly fit a disaster, prescribes unambiguous as sure and sure of action. So my propose in this chapter is not to articulate the communitarian ethical template for the use of this disastrous situations, but to look at the moral landscape that the disasters produce from the vantage point of the communitarian stance. From this view, features will stand out and call for our ethical attention. Features that perhaps other normative approaches miss, do, or do not emphasize. Additionally, as it can be expected to, the ethical challenges in the disasters and occasion serve to emphasize both to the base commitments of the ethical theory as well as its weakness. But the critical question that I will oppose at the end of whether communitarianism is an attractive and moral approach for people grappling with the ethical demands of disasters. I will first lay out in somewhat rough fashion and main elements of communitarian ethics. Secondly, I will discuss the many ways in which the communitarian moral view applies to the various stages of disasters, how this view highlights values and other normative approaches do not. In particular, I will highlight the importance of community in thinking ethically about disasters pretendis response and recovery, as well as the implication of the communitarian view for the questions and the disturbative concerning disturbative justice and disasters value conflicts between community disaster victims of non-community responders. Thirdly, at the end of the chapter, I will pose a number of critical questions of the communitarian approaches to disasters. What is communitarianism? We're going to get that down real quick. So, as we hope, what is communitarianism? We explain. Oh, shit. Okay. Get this out of the way. All right. As an approach of thinking, choice, and communitarian cannot be nearly summed up and described with a philosophical controversy. The thinkers is the communities and traditions subscribe to different versions of the theory, emphasize alternative aspects of it. For the classical expression of the philosophical communitarian, C is Weltzer, 1984, and McIntyre, 2007, Taylor, 1992, and Sandard, is it? Yeah, Sandel, my fault. Sandel in 1998. The philosophical articulation of the communitarian moral view was in large part of the critical response to John Rawls' theory of the justice 1999, first published in 1971, revitalized political philosophy and that fixed a liberal moral and political view and a dominant normative outlook in political philosophy. In response to the Rawls work in the main themes of ethical communitarianism are articulated in the 1980s. In the later decades, a political communitarian literature emerges that is less concerned with the necessities of political debate and more concerned with a critique of Western culture. Consequently, for the purpose of this chapter, I have chosen to divide my discussions of communitarianism into two parts. The main one is in an account of the philosophical grounds of the communitarianism, and the second part is a brief look at the political versions of communitarianism. Okay, particularism and partiality. Okay, particularism and partiality. Okay, let's see how long this is. This is a good read. And communal self. Okay, we talked about a little bit of everything. Let's talk about the disasters. Yeah, this is gonna be I'm gonna do a part two to this. Um, we're gonna talk about it. So since we I don't get a part two to this, we're gonna get into this. We're gonna get into part two of this. I'm gonna stop it right here. As we can tell, I'm not gonna get in depth with it. So we're gonna go and we're gonna stick to the basic and things like that nature. So let's go on past the salute. Yeah, communitarianism is basically a 20th century political doctrine. It emphasizes communities and thus of an individual, of course. That's the main topic. So we're going to get into it and we're going to take our time. So things like that nature. So we're going to understand. And that's just what it is. And that's just how it is. And that's just what it is. So I think people are going to be like, it is what it is. So it's against liberalism and things like that. But I think this is a good thing. So let me open this up and pin it. And I'm gonna copy this, put this in the chat. Yeah, this ain't, it's a short discussion and I think people come through, whatever. I'm gonna pin this. I'm not trying to argue with nobody. Just gonna stick to the topic. Because I put links in the chats for a reason. This ain't really an open discussion. This is for a certain individual that wants to come up. And I'm going to talk for about 30 minutes. And I'm just going to keep it a buck with certain people. But you know what I'm saying? Because as you can tell, I'm watching things like I'm multitasking and doing everything. So don't mind me and things like that. So we already know. So, damn, I got to say hello to someone. So, let me see right quick. Let me see who's she talking to. They ain't talking about shit. Shouts out sheep with the share. Shouts out wacky with the share. Yeah. Let's see what right here mentions yeah, there we go. And we're gonna get into it. Yeah, communitarianism is one of those things I've noticed. It's a 20th century philosophy, and I think this is really good. When you get into it long term, you just know what time it is, and I think people gonna come through. I'm just gonna switch an avatar real quick and just get into my knowledge mode in a minute, and we're gonna get into this real quick. Yeah, get this other microphone. It's multi-pattern. So I'm gonna talk to y'all like this. This is classic me, what I was known for. And then people come in, they say, "Oh, he's got a microphone avatar. Don't worry about it. I'm speaking." That's the thing. I'm gonna start out like that. This is vintage me now. See, I ain't gonna put the statue that y'all see me in the chat. That's for visiting new channels and shit like that. I use that for certain purposes. Y'all gonna find out. And I don't really give a shit. That's just the whole purpose. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people will be like, say, "Hey, who's this guy?" And then when they look at your content, they be like, "Oh shit, he's all over various names." I'm like, "Yeah, you knew what you do." You know, them days is over. That's 2020. That's what I used to do. I don't do that no more. So, you know, I might have to have a face pic of me as an avatar. I don't know, with a hat or something. I'm gonna do something. It's just one of those things that we're talking about. But communitarianism is one. It deals with that equality stuff, but it's against the individualistic rights. What I've read and what I've seen so far, I'm a little impressed. It's one of those things that's a different philosophy, kind of like a centrist point of view. I wish I had the map and just share that one of the key tenets of that is it is what it is on that part. So when you talk about communitarianism, it's just one of those philosophies that you get used to. And we're going to do a part two. We're going to do a part two because we're going to go to that same article. We're going to read, and I'll bring up the philosophy aspect later, and we're going to expound on it and talk about it again. Because I think we should do a part two next month. And the reason I'm saying that, it helps me further. So I'm not really worried. So once I get my shit situation with my bank, probably this week or whatever, and just update, because I know they ain't gonna send it to me like that. So I'm gonna ask a question. That's kind of bothered me this week because my confidence level is kind of low. Um, you know what I'm saying? Like, because we can talk about various things, you know, like that. So yeah, I found some interesting stuff. Okay, my fault. My fault. Damn. Should say fair use. Yeah. Damn, they gonna pick that up. God damn it. I should say fair use. Hold on. Fair use, my fault. Yeah. Put that up. Yeah. I knew that was gonna be a fucking video. Try to get these pictures. I should have clicked off of that. But anyways, but you know, it's one of those streams like that. So damn it. Damn it. But fuck it. Gonna have to mute it. I have to fight through that shit. They won't hit me with that. I hope they don't hit me with that. It's one of those damn things. I hate YouTube sometimes. Can't even have a fucking live stream. But fuck it. I don't care anymore. I'll do a part two. This one I'll keep. You know, I hope I keep it. I don't fight that shit. I hate their policies sometimes. But like I said, it's one of those philosophies you can just say, hey, you know, it's gonna be one of those things, but we'll see. We'll see right through it. And I'm just gonna look at it for like, okay, this is gonna be one of the things that you know, when I look at it, it talks about community. It has its pros and weaknesses. I mean, we got links in the chat, like y'all can read for yourself. And I'm just like, I'll say to myself, that's one thing. And then I say to myself, that's another. But I didn't realize it was that old, but I just learned something today about it. I said to myself, I said, let's talk about this one right here. It deals with the community and things like that. So it's 20th century old. So you had a couple of philosophers that are mentioned, and one lived to be 83, but died at 83 years old, lived in the early 80s. She died in 1980s. So that's another one, a female. And I think the other two, they try to say it's compared to utilitarianism, but that's a whole nother feat. I'll get into that in part two. Part one is like basically the introduction of it. So it is what it is. And I chose this topic to be one of the best, I would say, out of all the political world systems. I said, you know what? Let me talk about this. And I said, I was pondering on it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to. And that's the thing about that. But when you have things like that in long term, you expect more. So I expect it to be what it was in so many. And when you're dealing with this type of philosophy, it deals with the collective of the community and things like that. So I think people appreciate me discussing it or whatever, and it takes time. Communitarianism is one of them ones that no one talks about as much. Basically deals with the community, of course, because individualistic philosophies always override this, unfortunately. And as you can tell, many things have happened. You know what I'm saying? And it's just what it is, bound to happen. Because when you get into it, a lot of people don't talk about things like that. You know what I'm saying? They just want to expound on the wrong shit. And I'm just saying, like, and I'm just keeping it real with y'all. They don't go in depth on these topics like I do, because when you find the research and have time, you have. But mainly, I stick with the philosophy aspects first, find it, and then if I research it, several links pop up, ones I would like to read, and that's things like that. I could have did this like early during the day, but I was distracted with the captain stream, so he was talking about dereliction and things like that. That's what it is. But philosophy is one of the reasons you study the political aspects, because you deal with politics. Let's put it to the test, and you have those subject matters. That's when you start talking about politics in its fragment state. It's about things like that. Then when you get into it, you just start like be a part of it. See, yeah, we talk about conservatism and liberalism in its base form. What about this one? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people in these spaces talk about the Monahan report, which is interesting. And they talk about it. So I know people don't talk about communitarianism as much. I'll probably be the first one to talk about it. I'll do a part two to this. I got links to that article. It's a long read, because I'll go back to that one in March, I believe. I don't know when I'm going to schedule it. Probably next week or whatever. I have some time, and then read some more on it, because communitarianism is one of those topics I would love to get into. And this may be part two, but if it gets even longer, I may do a part three, because communitarianism is kind of like a subject matter that people don't get into as much. But the other ones, like I've covered, like liberalism, I did part two, part three. But if I do a part three on liberalism, the last time I did that, I mean, the first one was long, super hella long. And the last one is kind of like out there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's very interesting. And when you get into it, it's one of those like that. I don't know if I want to do a part 3 on liberalism. I don't know. I don't know. Because people don't get into it that much. So for me, you just don't see that much content out here all the time. So yeah. But the Thursday streams, I'll say for the winter, but the spring, I'm gonna pull back on the Thursday thrills. When spring comes, I will say mid spring. The last one you'll see, I'll bring them back in the summer. I'm gonna tell you that right now. The one I'm gonna call it the Holy Testimonies. I'm gonna start, I think March, I believe somewhere in June. I'll stop it in June when the summer comes. It's on the 20th, right? That's when I'm gonna stop it. Because I'm not gonna stream much at June. I'll give y'all some points because I'm coming back on certain streams and around the summer because I'm gonna take a whole. I'll take the whole July off, to be honest with you, because I'll stream every other Sunday. You know, Sunday Madness. That's going to be around. Tell you how I'm doing. Then after that, I'll be around. I'm just not going to do much. You know what I'm saying? Because you'd be surprised. Because the summer is going to be very, 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 very different. It's going to be very different this year. Because I'll have that month right off. I'll be around. Don't be wrong. I'll stream every Sunday. Every other Sunday. I'll probably schedule it different. Because I ain't going to be doing Wednesday streams like that. I'll bring it back in August. That's my actual content. So ain't that much. After these philosophy streams, I don't know what's next. We'll have to see. Because I have to come up with something different. Because the election is this month in Georgia. But they never talk about communitarianism. And I think this is the most important topics to talk about. And I think people's going to have to look at it from those angles. Like when you talk about communitarianism, I'm just like, we're going to stick with it. And I know people ain't going to come up and listen. I don't care. This is the subject I'm dealing with. If you don't hit the link. It's not for everyone. I'm waiting on a certain individual, and that's cool. And I'll go to the next hour. We'll see. But you know, I'll show y'all links and stuff like that, and start reading and things like that. But yeah, my thoughts on communitarianism. I think this is one of the topics I will stick with for a while, and yeah, because it's another one. I'll do a part 2 on that. Political world systems is a lot, and I haven't made a playlist, but you know what I'm saying, because I'm looking at all the things I'm talking about. It's 11 of these. Yeah. Communitarianism is another one. I think I'm gonna have a part 2 on these. These are the ones that you look at. These are not very long streams. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah. Yep. 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 So people gonna look for actual content this year. Yeah, we got actual content. We just got to keep it right there. So it is what it is. And that's how you got to look at it. But I mean, so many words. It's just like, you know. And I think when you talk about these topics, they get very, very hectic. And I think people be like, man, what is he talking about again with these political philosophies? I was like, man, you just got to keep going. Got to keep doing you. We're going to see. and we just got to look at it from that angle. So, that's one of the reasons I want to do it, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. Let's see what's going on over here. So, people are just coming through. And I'm just like, but I think one of the reasons I think when people don't talk about it as much, I think it has so much emphasis on community, and that's the key word, community, right? And I'm thinking about, okay, you got a couple of philosophers that was in the 90s, in the 20th century. One died in 1980, was born in the 19th century. Very telling. And that's why it's very short for a reason. But the next century, it can be reused. And I noticed something. Why they never teach this in schools? It's probably, I'll tell you this, why they didn't teach it. It's no need to know. Or in colleges, I've yet to hear people talk about communitarianism, because I think they do talk about it, but not as much as people extensively about it. When you talk about societies, you look at things from that angle. And it gets like that every now and then. So I would say like this. Probably they don't go in depth at it as much. I would say people just gonna look at it like you're crazy. You want that uh but at the time I would say, like, when you talk about communitarianism, I think that's the whole point. When you get into, you just keep it around and things like that nature. So, and I was looking at that, I was like, why I haven't learned this in school? Now I've learned all the philosophies I've learned in my 20s out of school, and read certain books about them and things like that. Certain people talk about them. But this right here, you don't hear that publicly about communitarianism. I mean, you do in passing, but no one goes in depth on information. I've yet to see that on YouTube. I mean, people talk about it. This is kind of like when you talk about utilitarianism, right? These two right here. The reason I will say these are least talked about, I think utilitarianism is self-explanatory, because I made a whole series about it. I'm glad I didn't cover this, and I covered this later. It's part of the world system. I said, you know what? This is another good one right here. There's so many good ones that ain't even funny. When you deal with communitarianism, you understand that a lot of these come in fractured. So when you talk about things like that and consequentialism and things like that, you get in these forms, you get in these philosophies like nihilistic and things like that. Yeah, I talked about nihilism several times, but I ain't gonna get into it. That's commonly used in the modern day manosphere, and start, destroying these dudes and stoicism and things like that. I ain't even touched that. I'll touch that in the future. Existentialism, Nietzsche's nihilism and things like that. I will leave these alone, because these are commonly used and probably in every spaces out here, but it's misconstrued by certain people. Then you got skepticism. People talk about that. They read about it. It's so much shit you can get on this website right here with the basic philosophies and then research the actual stuff and put it as perspective. And everybody's stuck on Socrates and shit like that. Shouts out to the captain for that. And that's just the thing, man. Like, you get into it and you just look forward to it. So I think this real quick. You look at it and you just be on that type of way. So we understand. We understand. So as we can tell, it is what it is. And I think a lot of people just gonna look at it for what it is. So I was looking at these philosophies on the basics. Yeah, I was looking at that. I was like, you know what? And when I was thinking about communitarianism, I said, you know what? This is one of those things that we talked about. And I think when I started the utilitarian series, that's the thing. And it's just what it is. And it's just like, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, yeah, man. Like, one of the things I'm just saying, like, when you talk about communitarianism, you basically got to see what's going on. Like, I know people are just going to come through and just try to be on the angst of people. And I'm just saying, like, you know what I'm saying? But people going to come through later because I know people is tired and doing things like that. But, I'll extend this another hour. I'll extend this another hour. I got time. It's like, what, 9:58. When it gets to the 2 hour mark, I won't still talk because we're going to talk some more about it. But yeah, I was talking about utilitarianism like last year, hedonistic. We talked about this in comparison. When we talk about utilitarianism, it talks about the maximizing happiness or pleasure, someone among of all people. They try to compare this to. That's going to be on my part two with communitarianism because they both deal with society and morals. You got consequentialism and deontology. We're going to talk about deontology future wise, separate, and I'm gonna make a folder out of that. Um, we're gonna make a folder out of that. I'm not gonna save no links. I'm just gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna make a playlist. Excuse me, playlist for YouTube with that one. Consequentialism, not so much. I mean, I talked about it a few times. It's not even worth talking about. You know, you can have that summary, and then you deal with the criticism of utilitarianism, of course, happiness in different people and possible, not only practice, but even in principle. Defenders argue that the same problem is successfully overcome in everyday life. The rough estimates are usually sufficient. They try to say it's another dilemma of well being. Yeah, see, utilitarianism is a very, very, very interesting philosophy. It has a lot of criticisms, but there's different types. See, there's different types. The act deals with faced with a choice, particular in, and then rule deals with the choice's potential. It's similar to, it reduced the act utilitarians. They're very similar. Right and act are very similar. Okay, two-level utilitarians is normally would use intuitive moral thinking. It deals with moral thinking. That's what two-level utilitarianism and predict consequences and moral guidelines. Yes. Then you got your motive. That's a psychologically or psychological one. Total deals with all. Based on the total of its members, however, it's been argued that this leads to repugnant conclusion. That's the drawback with that one. But that means all of everything of society. Now, when you deal with average, you're dealing with measuring of utilities population based on the average utility of the population. Negative deals with evil or harm or to prevent the greatest amount of suffering. That's the negative utilitarianism. And it also logically be engendered to the quickest and the least painful method of killing the entirety of humanity. See, that's the negative utilitarianism right there. And the synodic utilitarianism states that the well-being conscious of being who feel pain, but including therefore see non-human animals deserve equal consideration with that given human beings in decision of utilitarian context. Peter Sanger is a synodic utilitarian. That's the only one I can think of. He's a synodic utilitarian. That's his sentiment. He deals with the animals. That's what he is. Everybody else can't be the total. So when you talk about utilitarianism, you talk about the essence of what communitarianism is. It's probably its opposite. We're going to deal with that argument next week. What's going on, G Sloot? Oh, hell, Gray Skull in the building. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. It is what it is, man. And that's just what it is. No, not really, Dick Doug. No. My sinus is acting up. Not snoring. I'm just, my sinus, my ears is fucked up. Get my wax under together. Ugh. Yeah, my sinus is fucked up. That's living down here in Georgia so much. Yeah, I gotta clean my ears a lot. And drink some water, get them popped. A lot of gunk. A lot of gunk in my ears, man. Ugh. I'm far from sleepy. Yo, that shit fucked my head up. But that's a whole nother. But communitarianism, I think, when I talked about it, I'm like, I look at this as going to be a future part too, because I didn't want to expound on the reading. I just want to talk to y'all because when I talk about that, I'm like, when you deal with people you see for what it is. But when you talk about its actual premise, I like it. But that should be a good argument between those two philosophies. I think what's the difference? Are they the same? What's in right context of the two? That's what part two is going to be about. Yes, we're going to read where we left off, of course, and then we're going to expound on the thing. So that's a whole nother thing. No, it's not an infection. I'm good. It's just a sinus problem. And it's just what it is, man. And that's just what it was. But you know, one thing I could say about communitarianism, I feel like it's one of those things that I felt like it's a good topic to have. And one thing I can say, well, I've learned tonight, I mean, this one's going to be talked about the most. One thing I can say is hit with it, but you can speak on certain things. But the thing about it is, you still get what you get. So that's unfortunate. And I think when you look at it, you be like, okay, this is one of the things that you look at. And I think it deals with the community and things like that. So when you talk about communitarianism, you know it is what it is. So so you know how people are. But you know, but when it talks about community, it's just like, oh man, that's what you think about a communitarian person. So when you look at it, it's very simple, and I think it's 20th century. But yeah, but speaking on utilitarianism to that comparison, I see why it deals with people and collective and things like that. That's going to be something to talk about. But I would love to read the article, but I said I'm going to say that for part two. That's going to be a part two to that. This one is okay. Hope I don't get hit because I'm concerned because I actually didn't really play the clip. I didn't show it. That's another thing too, because you know they look for things like that. They hear a noise, so that's a whole nother thing. For me, I will say like I'll talk about it extensively in part two because this one I don't know if this one's gonna be up or not because I ain't trying to get hit off this shit with that little sound bite. So we'll see. We'll see. Because if it passes, it passes. If it does, that means I'm gonna keep it. And then we're gonna expound on part two. Because I won't get that out of my head because it's been a lot going on for me lately. But doing this topic is a work fulfilling, and I felt like we could speak on it even more and extensively. So Yeah, I don't want to clip the sound out and things like that. That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, yeah. But you know what I mean. But I think a lot of people can look at it as more, but I say it like this. When you talk about this subject, I think this is not mostly talked about. Is because several reasons. I think they don't want to go extensively with it because it doesn't deal with certain people's ideals. And I'm looking at it like, okay, this is one of the things that you see. It's not really worthwhile. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not really seeing that much often. So when you look at it, you be like, okay, this is one of the things you be like, all right, this thing right here is just what it is. So yeah, enough on utilitarianism. We're gonna drop this off, bang it out, and just let you know that this is common. When you add the tabs and that crazy, and you just be like, all right, this is it. So apparently we see this a lot. So when you talk about it, it's just what it is. So you know what it is. Yeah, I think this will pass through. I think I put the fair use up. Yeah, accidentally did that. You know, that happens. I think they're gonna let me slide on this one because I have a feeling they are. I have a feeling they are. I have a feeling they are. It's just what it is. But yeah, I was looking at people's algorithms and things like that, but no one cares. No one cares. I think people's gonna look at it so many words, and I'm looking at what Brother X has got. And that's what it is. So we're gonna look at it extensively, but I'm not tripping. Oh, it's 2 hours in. Okay, we're good. We're good. We on the money mark. So my thoughts on it again. It does challenge liberalism. It does challenge libertarianism and conservatism and communism. It's kind of like collectivism. That's what communitarianism is basically damn near about, similar to socialism. But when you hear people like Goodwin Barmby, right? It's another one. Goodwin Barmby. That's about it. And then you deal with the philosophical communitarianism. Then you did the ideological communitarianism, the types of communitarianism. It ain't that much. It don't tell you much. It really don't tell you much because it doesn't go in as much as people think. That's a hard philosophy build like that. I mean, if you really want to get technical, it's not one of those philosophies that you can just dive into. You got to have some searches, some comparisons, and I think this is the shortest one I've seen out of all of them. They're not really easy to muster up and learn. There has to be certain books. If I had a book on it, I'll tell you what it really is, and people use it in practice, and I can read it off to you and just read and talk about it and show the picture on the screen and then read certain information and show you certain links, and I just drop it what it is and skim through it. I would love to do that shit. But quiet as kept, communitarianism is one of the least likely to learn. And I think when you talk about utilitarianism, that's one of those things that you see for what it is. Most people do not get into it. It's because they feel like these terms is not properly managed. You know what I'm saying? Like when you get into these terms, you feel like things is going to be different or whatever. So this deals with community and society and government. So when you go against these terms, against the opposite of liberalism, that's what it said. And I said this early in the stream. That's part of the reading that you'll have to take up in the beginning. That's the thing. So when you look at that, you already know what time it is. So yeah. So that's just one of the things that, there's videos like someone said in the chat. Yeah, it is, but it ain't enough. Not everybody expounds on it like that. See, I go in depth on the actual pros and cons, the disadvantages of it, and the advantages of it. See, I'm going to talk about in depth on this other article that I got next week, because this one is kind of like you got to be extended what you're talking about, but you can't be that person that's going to lay out this doctrine and then expect people not to listen. So, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother feat on that. So I'm not really amused by that or abused or whatever you want to say. But apparently people just don't understand that this takes, and that's just what it is, bro. In so many words, I think people just don't go in depth anymore. They just like, all right, I'm going to study this and I'm going to be me and things like that nature. And they're just going to expound on it. Yeah, man, it is what it is. So we're gonna see the difference. That's why I'm not tripping about what's going on. So yeah, man. And that's just what it is. So yeah. What people are saying, oh damn, I got a nice audience. Okay. Well, so people gotta understand when I talk about um these topics, I go in depth on all sources and I try to be fair. But when I did the utilitarian series, man, it's very intriguing. What people can learn and come back what I'm saying. And I did streams on it. Should have had these type of microphones in the beginning of my shit of last year, but I wasn't really serious about this. I really wasn't. If I was, I would have been more in frank what I've been doing now. I think I didn't take this serious for several reasons. I didn't invest into it. I should have, and I should have something different and then expound on it, got into the tech reviews and things like that. So I didn't really focus on that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's several reasons why I didn't go in depth like I did. I should invest this in 2 years ago. Thought about it. I said to myself, you know what? I'm glad I did, and I'm glad I did the research of the all these philosophies last year. And I started around this month and last month and this month of last year, I was on this type of time. So I'll give it about March. I'll talk about it again. I won't stop. because I don't know if I'm gonna take the break from Wednesday streams from that April. I don't know what I'm gonna talk Wednesday. I'll talk about politics, or here's what I'm gonna talk about. Wednesday I'm gonna talk about probably I will say in April, I'm gonna talk about current events. I'm talking about current events. I'll do that. We're gonna talk about current events, and we're gonna put it in a political form, and we're gonna say current events number 1 and 2. It's gonna be a series on it Wednesday, because I feel like when we talk about current events, we're gonna explain what's going on. So yeah, current events is a real thing. It's a real thing, and I think is one of those things. It's just what it is, man. And I think people are just gonna understand what's going on. So that's just what it is. And I mean, you know what's happening in the truth out, yes. Oh, it's 10:22 Eastern time. Wow. Woo. We're making headway. 2 hours. So I can do 3 hours by myself. I tell people all the time. So normally I don't do a lot of long live streams, because I usually cut it and get those minutes in, and and just cut out. But it's 10 something. So I know people's gonna listen on the playback and things like that, but I ain't gonna cut it right away. We're gonna see what's going on. But you know, and that's it for me. So I'm gonna read some comments. What's it? He said, I think you're an expert on the social political philosophy. I'm more centered around scientific linguistic philosophy. Um, I mean, that's a fair assessment. Yeah. Well, I ain't gonna say I'm an expert. I just know what I'm talking about. I read a lot of stuff. I mean, yeah, you can call me an expert on it. I just understand how it works in society and move. And once you read a lot of stuff, you put it in practice. Basically, I ain't gonna try to say, oh, but on here, yeah, you can say that. It is what it is. But that's just the thing. What's going on, TC Killer? What's going on, man? But like I said, if you talk about this enough, yeah, I do research it extensively. Now, some people call me an expert on it. Yeah, I may be expert on it because I read so much. Um, I just found out about it. I'm like, this is a good topic to talk about, and I don't think people don't talk this extensively. I think basically when you get into it, you understand that this philosophy is going to be built on years to come. So most people are going to look at it differently than others. So yeah, it's not one of those things you can just rub off and say, hey, this is philosophy here and there, and what I mean, just not expounding. You know what I mean? Because some people, they just gonna go in and go ahead and say, hey, we're gonna talk about this extensively, and we'll get on the ropes. So when you talk about it, you just be like, all right, this is it. This is it. So I know it's a lot going on YouTube. It's just what's going to be. And it's just like, hey, man. But like I said, when I do these streams, I just get intrigued and just do more research extensively on it. I just don't give up on what I'm talking about. And that's how I'm going to look at it from last year. The summer of July. I'm thinking about July. I talked about the zodiac shit. I don't want to touch on that again. July, I'm kind of disappointed. July of this year is going to be better than last year. I wasn't talking about much. I think when people talk about zodiac streams, people don't care. I don't get no views off of that. I've noticed that. I know about it, but I stopped talking about that shit. It don't give me that much content. I've done it for last year. This year, I'm not going to do it again. I got to have a book. Gotta have a book. Because that's the only way I'm going to talk to y'all and things like that. I'm done talking about that. I did that last year. I'm not doing that shit again. I need a book on that. Period. My problem with the space is that they keep hearing terms building, and they truly believe that these people haven't a clue what that means. Well, most of these people are idiots, bro. They don't do research. They don't do what I do. That's why they get destroyed in the debate. They're a waste. That's why these dudes are fucking worthless half of the time. What's going on, degenerate? That's why they pieces of shit. They don't know what the fuck they talking about. Half of these times they don't do proper research. So I research, unlike these idiots. These idiots cannot hold a candle to me. Period. I'll show links and data better than their bullshit. That's why I don't have a lot of people in the room. There's the reason. I'm telling the truth. A lot of people are too stupid. They choose what the fuck they want to do. I don't give a shit what they think. Fuck them. Because they ain't on my level with that shit. But you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's just one thing. What's going on, real deal? Salute. But like I said, when you talk about these philosophies like that and put it in extensively, you do what you do. And I think some things matter in so many factors. And that's just how what it is. And I think a lot of times people get extensively crazy and like that. So, you know what I'm saying? But yeah. I think I can look at this as an extensive write off. So I'm not really tripping. So when you look at it, I'm just talking right now because the next hour I'm going to close it because I ain't going to extend it that long because I ain't got much time. Because I'm just going to talk to y'all for a minute and we'll see what the discussion is going to be. Because this ain't no open discussion. This is a conversational piece. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? And that's how it's going to be. But yeah, I'm going to talk to y'all extensively. Yeah, when it gets to the 3 hour mark, I'll close it because I know this is going to be one of those streams to look at. Just story time. I ain't studying that shit. Mm, mm, mm. So yeah, it's a lot going on because yeah, it's 10:31 right now. So, but when you talk about communitarianism, it's gonna be what it is. I think when I talked about it in the beginning, I didn't think of much of it, and I'm just like, it's just what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, man, yeah, it's gonna be very interesting what's gonna be talked about, things like that nature. So because I can extend it, but I'm going to extend it for like 3 hours so I can talk and then cut it because what I'm going to do is we're going to do a part two. We're going to do this again because it'll be next month. So what I'm going to do is this one is just an introduction of it, because I want to get y'all familiar with communitarianism and as its lighter fold. So I'm explaining on the rest of the hours what I thought of it. I was like, man, should be talked about as extensively. Um, I'm gonna ask some questions. Is it common in the 21st century? Because this is a 20th century ideology, right? They don't talk about this enough extensively, but we're gonna get into: is it modern of today? Is it used today? What's the weaknesses in it? It's a similar to this to me is similar to utilitarianism a little bit. They both have similarities. Not talked about as much, but it is what it is on an extensive route of what we're talking about. That's the thing about these subjects like these, you can expound on. Wish I had the pictures to prove when we get to these terms. We're going to talk about this extensively. And that's the thing about knowing the content in its context. So basically, what you have is you see what it is. So that's one of the things that we're going to see in the long term. And I think a lot of people just want to talk about it as heavily thought, heavily moved, and things like that nature, which is going to be extensive. So I think this is going to be a whole nother feature of it, man. Like it's just what it is. And I mean, like, yeah, people try to ask me about it, and I'm like, man, my thoughts on it, it's not much because once I get to part two on the way, I'll talk about it extensively and go in depth on this article, and it'll be like, all right, this is going to be it. You're actually talking about communitarianism in its lighter form, and we just got to get into it, man. Like, one thing I can say, I learned a lot from myself, and disasters of it. I mean, this right here is important. Once we get to the particular particularism and partiality, this is something that we're going to see, and then we're going to talk about the communal self. And this is a good article. This is a great read, right? This is an extension of part two. It's the linkspringer.com, right? That's what we're going to talk about. And once we extend that, that's going to be one of the things I'll be like, you got to see what so many words is. Yeah. But you know, one thing I can tell y'all about this philosophical ways is this is the beginning of how my content's gonna be. Because in the summer I ain't gonna be talking about these a lot. This is only for where I started when I had the Dark History Month, and I think when I did the Dark History, not month, but the Dark History, it's extensively. I would say it was cool back then. Oh shit! Oh, almost dropped something. My fault, yeah, yeah. And I'm just like, man. And that's what we talk about, man. But we extend it, I don't know about screenshots and things like that, but it's important. But people ain't talking about much. And I'm just saying, like, in so many words, we can expound on shit just for the hell of it. We're gonna expound on shit. So, a little tired now, but because eventually, because I got the next hour, so I can shut this down. I'm just still talking. I made some numbers tonight. I know I did. I made some numbers tonight because this is gonna be something else. But shouts out with the likes, y'all. I mean, hey, I'm consistent. I told you, I do this shit all the time. This ain't nothing to me. I mean, I'm one of those channels that's a relic. You just gotta give me a shot, and then we could be extensively. And I'm just saying, like, yeah, this is one of those things that we talk about as much, but we'll talk about this again next week. So I'm just talking about it. I'm just like getting to figure out what my schedule is gonna be these coming like this year. So the summer, I'm just gonna take like the whole month off. I think it'll be in July. I'll probably extend the Sunday Madness probably end of July. I'll say something like that in July because I'll come back in August because I ain't gonna be streaming as much, but I will be around Mondays. Oh yeah, I'll be around Mondays for the Delic News Network. But if the visor we ever be off, we're gonna be not around. So yeah, my scheduling is totally different than what you think, and that's the extension of it. So I think people are gonna look at it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is. And I think most people don't really care long term. And they just look at it like, all right, man, we're gonna talk about this long term. And they be like, yeah, you know. And I can say something about this, but when you talk about communitarianism, you just look at it from its basis. But one thing I can say, you can learn a lot about the disadvantages all day. So yeah, next week is going to be when we talk about it extensively, and we're going to keep in mind we're going to use it as much as we can. So most people is not going to look at it from that angle. So yeah, because I know I used a different mic tonight, but I'll go back to my standard one tomorrow, and because I'll be talking about Thursday thrills. I don't know when I'm gonna talk about a lot of things, but Thursday I know I'm gonna have a stream. I don't know what the topic's gonna be about, but I'm gonna clear out my screenshots probably tonight off this Chrome and keep the ones I got, and the ones I'm gonna get rid of. It's already here. Yeah, man. Yeah. So it's a good extension, and I'm just like, yeah, this is one of those things that I see a lot. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But some people they just go crazy with it. But I think me extending this longer because I'm telling y'all, it's one of those things like when you do streams like these and you just get the information out, you just good. But when you're talking about it, oh, long term, oh man, that's a whole nother feat. It's a whole nother feat, whole nother feat. So you know what I mean? Because I'm not really tripping at this point. But talking about this extensively, yeah, because tomorrow I'm gonna be just talking about just basically I'll say current events and shit, what's going on YouTube, because it's like a new Monday for these dudes in these spaces, these certain spaces. We're not a part of their spaces. We over here, so we're the villain sector, the villain sphere. Like I said, we're antagonists to the truth because we're antagonists. We're the bad guys to these fools over here. You know what I'm saying? We're going against the grain, and we're also contrarians to a fault, but we spectate on the drama and the BS. And they don't talk about topics like these. No, they ain't going to. It's just credit, and then we just bring that needle. We have that presence. It all started last year when I was on this type of time, but I'm glad I got away from the dark history stuff and transitioned to something else. Yeah, yeah. See, that's the thing about it. So one thing I can say about it, it's one of those topics that I can discuss for it for hours and hours all day. And I said to myself, I'm not going to do that because that's just one of those topics you'd be like, oh shit, we here. But it's always good to do a part two. Part one is kind of like what I want to introduce to y'all. Like, it is a 20th century ideology. And that's like, I said, this woman lived to be like in her 80s and died in 1980. Interesting. Died at 83 years old. Was born in 1890s. Late 1890s, I might add, 19th century. So we're talking about the 20th century. You talk about the 1900s, that's the 20th century. The 20th century was very, very not too long ago. Okay. It's a hell of a century. That century changed a lot how the world is today. The 20th century has this lot of violent history then. The 20th century is something else. It's an extension of the 19th century to the futuristic now. See, the 19th century was nothing. It wasn't futuristic. It was basic. You talk about the 20th century, that was the future. That's the future of technology back then. Then the futuristic shit started in the 21st century. That's a different type of future. Same old shit, but futuristic things. So you see what it is. So you know what it is. And that's just how people get down and things like that nature. So I just know what time it is, you know. And I'm just like, okay, this is gonna be one of the reasons that you see what's going on. But yeah, man. Yeah, because Wednesday's one of those days that I'd actually do the content and things like that. So some people ain't gonna look at my stuff long term. So that's why the playbacks are so important and what you sound like, and it becomes replay value. So when you get views that way, people gonna knock it through. See, some people ain't got time because they looking at other stuff, and someone said they should be valuing these spaces. Well, number one, a lot of these spaces are fragmented. And y'all keep forgetting I'm the most hated out of the group. Once you're the most hated, you get used to the shit. And I think part of it is a good thing because when you hate it and not liked by these certain individuals and groups, that's why you gotta say fuck everybody else, because it matters. Once you get to a point, you know what it is. You know what it is. They ain't gonna like you. They ain't gonna like you long term. That's just part of the game. But you get used to it and you build your confidence. I'm just saying, like, in so many words, I think people should not worry about the things, who's not getting views or not. A lot of these people, quiet as kept, can't do no real content like this. See, what I do is I actually do the research, and he was trying to say they needed it, like Dick Doug's point. I said to myself, fuck them. Like, if they're not going to learn something, I don't need them here. Yeah, I'm a classroom. I can produce 15 to 20 people listen to me if we have a conversation like this, or by myself. I can do that. You show them proof, they're going to come through. Most people just don't want to read. That's their choice. If they don't want to read, fuck them. That's what it is. Replay value determines if they like my shit or not. And you'd be surprised who watches replay value. Unlike most people, I do what I do. I'm not going to scream and yell about what the problems is in the world. You know what I'm saying? Because most people don't see it that way. They just don't. Because one thing is that it's coming, it's here. So I understand what's going on. A lot of people just don't want to get into it. But when you pick topics like these, of course nobody's not going to listen to it. It's going to be a handful of people going to listen to it. Because if I had like 100-something people listen to it, that's a different story. But you gotta have a minus. You got a minus of the fuckery. That's just what they want. And you got to remember how old these people are. A lot of them are misled. That's all I'm saying. So don't blame me for not getting the audience that I get. It's just what it is, bro. I don't have a lot. So a lot of times it's reputation of people, what they think of you. So I'm saying, when y'all do this and get a microphone like me, you'll understand. It's not easy, bro. It's easy, and then it's not easy. You got to be likable by certain people. To me, I say fuck likability, because likability don't mean a damn thing. Because people are fickle, and I learned this last year when I started in April. Most people ain't shit until I met the captain. That shit took to the roof. And then when we talk about a community, or we're going to talk about communitarianism back in full circle, we don't give a fuck what people think. We challenge everything. August from December of last year was excellent to me. December, I enjoyed it. I mean, the purge went sideways. We already know what happened. And it is what it is. It went sideways. This year is kind of like, in the beginning, it's trash. January's a wash. Especially February's a wash as well. We got to see what's going on. Bruh, we got to see what's going on. Because I think mostly extensively, we got to see what's going on. And I think a lot of people just don't want to deal with the fact that that's how we dealt with things that are important. And I think part of it, that's just part of it. So when you talk about these things, like, when you talk about topics like these, no one's not going to care. They only care about the replay value. And that's cool. And I respect that, because I'm not worried about what's going to happen. I don't care what's going to happen. People are going to be people. Everybody's not going to deal with the same thing in the streams. I don't compete with numbers. I hope y'all know that. I don't give a fuck. Because if they get snatched, I'm kind of like their only option. See this all the time. They're not going to listen to these streams. No. I don't do 2 streams a day. I don't do that. I don't have the time to do that. I wish I can, but I used to do that. I said, nah, it don't work for me. Because I know how people are. They'll forget about it. And I've done that, I'll say last year around the summertime of July. That shit didn't work. Shit didn't work for me. And like I said, I'm not doing Zodiacs this summer. That was last year's shit. I'm not doing that. That's going to be random from now on. That's going to be random. I don't know when I'm going to do those again. That's random. I don't give a fuck. I'm just looking at my content, what I did. Because last year I was focusing on the political stuff. Last year I was focused on what the state is moving. Last year I was trying to see what type of content we're talking about. I was cool with certain individuals. And then it went left afterwards. That whole month of November was wild. You know what I mean, bro? It was wild. That was a whole year. November and December were the roughest times. All fair with my shit. Online was fun. I'm not gonna lie. So when you're dealing with these things, you know extensively what I had to go through. But when you get another topic like these, you deal with the community, you go against the grain with liberalism and things like that, with conservatism in those areas. But when you talk about communitarianism in its proper context, what I just read early in the stream, it's pretty straightforward. It's just it has its weaknesses long term. It's going against individualists or rugged individualists in these areas. That's the thing. So again, it's just like you got to know where you fit in. It's gonna come in time, and you're gonna see the difference. And that's just how this is how people come through. So you know what time it is. But I know people are mad or anything, but But yeah, I think that's just one of the things, like, it's just one of those topics you just like, all right, this is gonna be good. So not really worried. I'm gonna just do the thing right there. So yeah. Oh man. Woo. Mm, caught that. I say USB. You talking about oh boy. Man, I'm so sick of them talking about that shit. They don't know what the fuck they talking about. American news. Talking about that Putin shit. That shit's dead, bruh. You see why I don't get into it that much? That's just the thing. And I'm just like, one thing I can tell you, you can see for what it is. But one thing I can tell you, one thing, like if I was a communitarian, yeah, I'll help society's ills and things like that. But there's gonna be a lot of weaknesses in every ideology. So things like that. So, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, because I know I'm 2 minutes in. I mean 2 hours in. And before we get to the mark, and it is what it is. So it's one of those streams like, yeah, see, I can go for 3 hours and just cut it, because it ain't that much to talk about till like part two in this one, see how this one plays out. So with that, um, I'll get some shout outs in a minute, but yeah, I'll be right back. Give me about 4 minutes and I'll be back. All right. All right, all right. I'm back. I gotta see what's going on over here. Okay, the audience is in here. Okay, let me see what's going on here. Cause I probably got hit with something. No, my ass. Yeah, I gotta be careful with their little policies and shit. Yeah, you can get hit with these easily. Cause they trying to fuck with us this year. So, oh shit. Yeah, I know people was pissed, but that's okay. I don't give a fuck. Fuck them, and that's just what it is. Oh damn, I got one dislike. Okay, cool. It's all good. It's all gravy. You know the hate is real, so you already know. I'm already focused on tomorrow. You know how it is. You know how people is. People gonna hate regardless, and you deal with it. And I just don't even care at this point because I don't know what the hate's about. But thank you for the hate. I get those every now and then. So people be sky watching and things like that. So I know people want attention, want to shine, but I love it. You know, y'all just give me that fuel because I know when we talk about these like for a long time. So yeah, usually it'd be an hour or whatever. So I said, you know what, since it's time, so yeah, we'll get in the crux of it. So I know it's gonna start because the 3 hour mark will come real soon because I'm gonna get some shout outs. I want to shout out everybody. Appreciate it, Real Deal Financial, Degenerate, Dick Thug, TC Killer, one of the villains feared. You got chewed out today about the captain. You got the advisor himself, Dr. Doom Dre, Pastor. Who else came through? Who else came through? Juan G's. I forgot you, fellow villain. Yeah, man, because I know people don't want to be bothered with the conversations and shit. Shouts out to Shar. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. There goes Art. Appreciate you, man. He's still here. Captain himself, Captain Ghost. Y'all check out his channel, man. He has a good channel. He talks about martial arts and everything. This dude's a master. He's working on his mastery. The legendary Wacky World of O himself. Y'all check out his channel as well, man. And Tone Malone. I forgot about Tone Malone. Appreciate you coming through. He's the first one. Yeah, they're very slept on. I agree with that. And they're always gonna be slept on because of me. Depends on the person. It reminds you of college. Yeah, yeah. I try to tell them, yeah, college is what it is, bro. It is what it is. So when you look at things like that, you just look at it like, hey, it's like these courses. I can beat these college fools all day. They can't debate a guy like me. So we already know what's going on. But they got to revisit. And that's just what it is. So we're gonna see for a minute. I'm just gonna talk, and it's just like, yeah. I was looking at X's channel. They talking about Cerulean and Charles, and I don't know what's going on with people on YouTube and things like that. He said, "Where's your product?" Oh dang, Nick Taylor did a string. God damn, he got tired of X. Uh-oh. Not gonna get into that. Call it colorism. You mean color struck. And boy reaching. Oh, it's time. Oh, yeah. So, folks, I'm gonna shut this down. It's been real. So I'm gonna say peace and the Most High's blessings and shalom. I'm out. Oh hell, Great Skull, and I'm out.